Oh, Donald Trump's bag of dirty tricks to try to steal the next election. He's stealing congressional seats, or he's trying to. He's stealing the right to vote by way of mail-in ballot, or he's trying to. He's stealing your ability to vote by absentee ballot, or he's trying to. That whole tool bag of dirty tricks. One part of it was when Elon Musk spent $250 million to get him elected last time and dangled $1 million a day giveaways. You remember those? In order to vote, in order to obtain fraudulently, according to a lawsuit, voter data, which they then used and exploited to get Donald Trump elected. Well, that just got a lot harder now that Judge Pittman has decided that a massive election fraud class action lawsuit that was filed in November, a little bit under the radar, in the Western District of Texas, is going to be going forward all the way to class certification and discovery, based on the lie, this is the allegations, the lies that Elon Musk made to voters to try to obtain from them the valuable voter information, like their cell phones and their emails, in order for them to participate in what he referred to as a random lottery. There was nothing random about it. In fact, in order to defeat another criminal case in Pennsylvania in November, the same Elon Musk PAC testified under oath that it wasn't a lottery at all, that they were just picking people and signing them to a personal services contract for $1 million if they thought they represented the campaign. See, they defrauded people by saying, do you care about the First Amendment? Do you care about the Second Amendment? Sign this petition. But before you sign the petition, give us all of your voter data. Give us your cell phone, your email, your home address, your demographics, and then you can click below and sign the petition. That is something we call fraud and election fraud. And now there's class action seeking millions, tens of millions of dollars from the Musk PAC is a poke in the eye at Donald Trump, saying, back the F off of voter fraud and voter interference that you're using to try to suppress the vote. I tie it all together right here on Legal AF. Legal AF Thursday. How did we turn the page already on another day? I'm Michael Popok. You're here. Take a moment, hit that free subscribe button. I'm talking about this new case, which we call McCafferty versus Musk and his PAC. It was filed in November. It was filed by a representative plaintiff from Arizona, Mrs. McCafferty, who said, I thought I was participating in a lottery. They told me this was a lottery. And then it turned out, no, they were taking my voter data to exploit it to try to turn votes for Donald Trump, which is exactly what they did. I mean, let's be frank. Musk doesn't spend $250 million of his own money doing these kind of dirty tricks. Donald Trump likely doesn't get elected. I mean, he was on the balls of his ass before Musk got involved and decided to buy a presidency for $250 million. Now, put this in context. What is Donald Trump doing right now, even as we speak here on this hot take? He's about to issue an executive order to attack mail-in ballots. Think about that for a minute. Why? Because Democrats know how to use a mail-in ballot? First of all, Donald Trump, every year of his adult life, except for when he ran for president, voted by mail-in or absentee ballot. Fact. Mail-in ballots, that's attacking my deceased mother, because every year while she was alive, every year she voted by mail-in ballot because she was in a wheelchair. Do you think my mother was going to be able to stand in line for 7 hours, 5 hours to vote for her favorite candidate and exercise her right to vote? No. And that's why we give people the dignity of voting in their own homes, as long as there's no fraud. So mail-in ballots and denying the right to mail-in ballot is just going after minorities and black and brown people and the disabled and the handicapped and the housebound and the senior citizens who make up a lot of the Democratic base. That's all that is. Let me say this once and for all. There is no outcome determinative voter fraud in American elections. It's a charade used by MAGA and Donald Trump to try to take away your right to vote, to make it harder, to make barriers of entry into voting. We should be, in 2025, you should be able to vote at the ATM while you're pulling out $20. Other countries do that, and it's secure and it's safe. There's a way to make these things safe and secure and encrypted. We should be expanding the days for voting, not just one election day. We should be expanding early voting hours. But no, Donald Trump sees that as a Democratic advantage. And so he claims voter fraud every legitimate agency that's ever looked at voter fraud, including those within the American presidential executive branch offices that Donald Trump has now disbanded, like the cybersecurity and infrastructure security branch of the executive branch that looked at voting, said that the voting, especially last time around in 2020 also, was the most secure in our history. There is always voter fraud, but it's so infinitesimal. It's 0.001%. Which means, yes, there's people that vote their dead parents' ballot. Yes, there's people who vote twice. Yes, there's an immigrant or two who's not yet a U.S. citizen who votes. But it doesn't change the outcome of an election, especially one at the presidential level where hundreds of millions of people can vote. One vote is, one fraudulent vote against 100,000 legitimate votes is not going to change the outcome of the election. But Donald Trump uses that boogeyman, uses that false threat of voter fraud. Just like he calls, there's an enemy incursion of aliens. I need to have robust removal powers for immigration under the Alien Enemies Act. It's an emergency. I got to impose tariffs under the Emergency Procedures Act for tariffs because it's an emergency. See, for him, he figured out that if he says it's national security, it's an emergency, we're under attack, that he hopes to get as much robust powers as possible and not have federal judges stand in his way, although that hasn't been working for now. Now let's return to this lawsuit. The lawsuit claims that Musk himself admitted that this was a lottery, or claimed that this was a lottery to defraud people, and then had to take an opposite position in Pennsylvania a month or two later. Let me show you the clip that got the judge upset. Let's run the clip of Elon Musk declaring that this was a random $1 million giveaway. Go ahead.
So I have a surprise for you, which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
Now, it turns out, based on the allegations in the complaint and the positions taken by the Musk PAC in November in Pennsylvania, that it wasn't random at all. They just picked people from the petition list that they thought would look good on television effectively and give them a personal services contract. We have a name for that. It's called fraud. You just defrauded me. You told me something untrue in order to obtain something of value from me. And I have been to my detriment and to my damage. That's fraud. And that's the basis of the class action case. And the damages are going to be, they're going to bring in an economist who's going to give a value for the hundreds of thousands, whatever it was, of people who signed the petition under the false claim that this was a $1 million lottery giveaway, when all they cared about was getting your voter data. What is the value of that database of voter data that Musk developed, which I'm sure is continuing to be used by Donald Trump even as we speak, and MAGA for the midterms? And that's why I take special delight in reporting on this. Let me just, while I got you, let me just read to you, and I'm actually going to put up in Legal AF Substack, I'm going to put up the actual order by Judge Pittman. Now, there's two Judge Pittmans in Texas. This is the Robert Pittman, who's the more liberal of the two. The other one's MAGA Federalist. And here's what they said. Defendants finally argues on page 21 in denying the motion to dismiss. Musk argues that plaintiff has not plausibly alleged damages because she provides no basis to conclude that her situation is any different as a result of defendant's breach. The judge says here, the contract, had the contract been performed as alleged, plaintiff would have received a random chance to win $1 million. However, another possible measure of damages is the reliance measure of damage, which seeks to put the injured party in as good an economic position as it would have occupied had the contract not been made, and therefore it would be the value of the voter information that was provided. And this is why the judge, having gone through the complaint, says that it states a claim, it plausibly states a claim, and it can continue to the class certification and the discovery process, because this is a BS, random, not random giveaway in which deception and artifice was used to obtain something of value from the class, plain and simple. So I'm going to cover this case cover to cover. Now that the judge is letting the case continue, can they take an appeal? but not at this juncture. Motions to dismiss don't get you appellate rights at this moment. Now, ultimately, it's going to be the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is not a great circuit. It's not a great circuit because it leans all the way to the right. However, we're a long way away from an appeal. This case is going to go through discovery and class action. Most class action cases settle once the class is certified. Now, Elon Musk is not normal, so he probably won't make that business decision, but they usually do. Now, if they continue past class certification into discovery, it gets worse for Musk, not better, and worse for Trump, not better, because of all the emails that are going to come flying out showing the lie behind it, and maybe the connectivity between Donald Trump, his campaign, and Elon Musk. I'm looking forward to that coming out in discovery and our being able to report on that. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.